And we're back in my garage. So you might be wondering what's behind me. Well, guess what? It's another mini split by TOSOT. So the last time we did a TOSOT install, you guys really seemed to like that video, so we're back with another one. However, this one's a little bit different. For one, it's a 18,000 BTU 230 volt system, but this is an A2L system, so it's got R32 in it. Not that 454B, which is really hard to find and super crazy expensive, but R32, which has been around for the last 20 years, just not here in America. But anyway, we're gonna go ahead and go step by step on showing you how to install this thing in your house on your own. Sure, you're gonna have to buy a bunch of tools, but it'll probably still be cheaper than hiring somebody like me to install it. So anyway, we're gonna go ahead and install it at a family's house. I'm donating it to them. They're not paying me for anything. They're just covering the electrical costs. They're gonna have someone else run electricity. And that's pretty much it. So here we go. All right, so we're on the site here. This is where we're going to be installing it in this bedroom here. So we're going to be putting it right about up here, right about, so there's a bed. I don't know if you can see it. So here's the bed, but it's going to line up with the bed right up here and provide some nice heating and cooling. So we'll start with the indoor unit like we usually do, and then we'll work our way outside. Currently we have an electrician running the electrical circuit. That's running down here, as you can see. So he's running our power right now. So I highly suggest that you contact an electrician to run your electricity. There are, safety concerns involved. If you're not comfortable with running electricity, I don't think you should do it on your own. But anyway, let's go ahead and unbox our equipment and get into it. So here we go. All right, so we have our indoor box. So this shipment is going to be 2 boxes. You'll have your indoor unit box and you'll have your outdoor unit box. Now keep in mind this is pressurized with nitrogen, so when you're removing the caps, don't be surprised if you hear a little psh. Okay, so we have our remote control. Set that aside, don't lose that. And we're going to go ahead and pull this out. On the back side of here you have your little accessory pouch. So here's our comm wire. So this is really nice that it comes with this stuff. It also comes with power wire. I usually don't recommend using that stuff. Like I said, you should have an electrician run it. But it does have a wire that you can do from the disconnect to the unit. But again, I would rather use a professional whip. So this is the instruction manuals and the little holder for the remote. You can mount it to the wall. Also comes with batteries. A little bit of extra insulation. That's to cover the connections here. And then the mounting plate will be attached to the back of the unit, as you can see here. And there's going to be lots of tape you have to remove. So we got our mounting plate. So it looks like it's a little bit different than the last one, but still the same ideas. You put this on the wall, hooks under the top, clips under the bottom. So yeah, let's go ahead and open up the outdoor unit box and make sure everything's there. Okay, so we got one line set. Also comes with drain hose. Got the smaller line set. Also comes with a little thing to put in the hole. Comes with this covering fabric stuff, which is totally not tape. And we're going to put a line set cover on it, so I'm not going to use that stuff again. And it also comes with the high voltage wiring, which I'm not going to use, but you can. I think it's 14 gauge stranded. So you would basically use this from your disconnect to this unit. Don't use it from your breaker to the disconnect. Have an electrician do that. This is some additional accessories. I think this is for the drains, for the exterior drain. Yeah, there you go. So that's our unit here. And this one is actually a 20 SEER, which is pretty efficient. And it, like I said, it's a heat pump. And the nice thing is it does actually have a drain pan heater built into it. You don't have to install it like some other brands. The reason why you do that is when it's in heating season, it'll go into defrost and you'll get a bunch of water in the pan. And then when it's below freezing, it turns into ice and it'll actually poke holes in the coil. So you put a pan heater in there to keep it water so it doesn't damage that. In another video that you saw where I was replacing a coil on a mini split, that's exactly what happened. No pan heater, ice poked holes in the coil. So anyway, good job. They really thought about everything. So this is a good unit. Whether you choose to do this yourself or you hire a professional to do it, I would say it's a good unit. And the other one's still running fine. I haven't had any issues with it as far as so far so good. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and move this onto the roof, and then we'll go ahead and get started on the indoor unit. Okay, so we have our indoor head here. This is our line set. So when it's on the wall, it's going to be coming out because we want to make our connections outside. You can do it behind the head, but then for repair purposes, it's a pain. So I like to put it outside where it's easy to get to. You don't have to pull the head off the wall or any of that. Whenever I can, and in this case, since it's an exterior wall, we can do that. So I highly suggest you do that. If you can avoid putting it on an interior wall, do that. Or if you could run the line set exterior, like on an exterior, and then cover it up or something with like a line hide. But yeah, when you're going through walls and stuff, you have to do the connection behind, so you'd have to actually lift the unit out of the way if you need to repair a leak or something. So anyway, what we want to do is we want to bend this line set outward slowly and carefully. If you do this too fast, it will be bad. Now keep in mind this is pressurized. You can see also we have a little red line here on the line set, but that's just indicating that this is an A2L refrigerant unit. There is no refrigerant in the indoor unit. It's all in the outdoor unit, so you don't have to worry about that. Okay. Now another thing too is we can see here that our drain is on the opposite side. So last time I just ran it behind there and it out, but this one, I'm not sure if you could do that with the other one, but this one we can actually swap the sides. So there's a drain connector right here. See this guy right here? That's a drain plug. We can pull the plug out like that, and then we can put the hose on that side and put the plug on the other side. That way it all goes out the same hole. Okay, you can see here this is the hook right here that hooks into that little nub right there. And lock it in place. Now it's very important that you put the plug in the other side, otherwise you'll have water leaking everywhere. So we got that plug back in there, so it won't leak. So now that we've got that done, now we need to figure out how far away this is from the plate. So we're going to install it like we would on the wall. Okay, now keep in mind you do have a little bit of wiggle. Alright, so I'm going to put it all the way that way. And then we're going to measure from the center of our line set to the edge of this, which is 5 inches. So we're going to want to be 5 inches to my right of the plate. Also, we want to see where it's coming out. So that's going to be about 1 inch from the bottom of the plate. So 5 inches from here to here, and 1 inch from here to here. Okay, so 1 inch up, 5 inches over, right up there. Make sure that there's no stud there. Okay, I think we're okay. I'm gonna be right next to the stud. We'll go ahead and do our pilot hole. And you want to go at a downward angle for the drain. Alright, we'll go outside and take a look at that. Alright, there's our hole. Perfect, right in the center of this. So we'll go ahead and drill our large hole now. When you're making this hole, you want to go downward. That way the drain can drain properly. Water doesn't go down, or water can't go uphill. So just kind of at an angle. And that's the only hole you got to make for this whole install. One hole. That's it. Well, you know, minus the anchors, but yeah. Okay, so we want to make sure that this thing is level before we start doing our screws. So yeah, it looks pretty level to me.
Alright, so what I'm doing here is I'm actually making marks for where I'm going to put the anchors. So I'm just putting the bit where the holes are, and then I'm pushing them, which is leaving a mark on the wall.
Now I believe this set comes with its own anchors, or these plastic ones. The last time they broke on me and they sucked, so I actually use these guys here. These are the zinc metal sinkers. These grip really good. We use these professionally, and you can get them at Ace or Home Depot, Lowe's, wherever. So they're not hard to find, and they're not too expensive. But I highly suggest you use these. Don't use the plastic ones, they're terrible. You'll just be more frustrated, and it'll just take you more time. So I learned that from last time. They do come with them, but they're terrible. Sorry, TOSOT, but yeah, you get better anchors. All right, we got all our anchors in, so now we will hope that it all lines up properly and stays level. Well, we got all of our anchors and we got this thing screwed in, and it's not going nowhere. So now we will find out if we put our hole in the right spot. First things first, is she level? Yep, she's level. We are ready to mount the head. I highly suggest you put a zip tie on there just to kind of hold things together. We're not going to connect the line set and run it all the way through the hole. We'll do that outside. I don't know why people do that. It's too much work. Get that through the hole. So. We want a hook. Yeah. We only got one side up. Now you might need to have somebody pull on the line set on the other side. Alright. Coolio. I think she's hooked. So we need to go on the outside and pull on that line set just to get her flush. We got our line set through. Just be careful that it doesn't get caught on the outside wall, because that happened to me. Luckily we didn't damage anything. We have our drain line, we have our liquid, and we have our suction line. So we're gonna carefully bend it downward, because what we're gonna do here is we're gonna take our line hide, come down. So we're gonna come down, there we go. We're gonna come down, and then we're gonna come across, straight over. And then it's gonna go ahead and pop into our outdoor unit. So pretty straightforward. And I know that the last time we went below the minimum length, because it's a minimum length of 10 feet. Last time we did, I think it was 7 feet. So still works fine. It is a little noisy, but that's probably because the line's too short. But anyway, let's do this. All right, so we got our line set. We're gonna go ahead and unroll it and straighten it all out. And then I'm kind of curious to see if this has perfect flares again. Because like I said last time, I was completely amazed that the flares were actually usable, which is amazing. So anyway, let's go ahead and get this one unrolled. Very important to remember to run the electrical wire at the same time. Otherwise, it's a total pain. So yeah, I swear I'm a professional. All right, so we got our connections here. We're gonna go ahead and make our indoor connections, so we'll be completely done with the interior. So we got 4 wires here, black, blue, and brown, and we have a ground. So blue is going to be 1, black is going to be 2, and brown is going to be 3, and then green will be our ground wire. So let's go ahead and hook these up. And the nice thing is they've already put the forks on there, so you don't have to deal with it, which is a nice touch, because whenever you're dealing with comm wire and stranded wire, never works right. Now you want to make sure when you put this in, you slide it underneath the little square. So there's the screw, then there's a square, and then there's the backing. You want to get it in between that square thing and the backing when you tighten these in, okay? So we did the blue one, now we're going to do the black one. And again, you want to make sure you get it behind that little square thing. That way it gets squished in between the two. It makes great contact. That way we don't have any communication errors. We want to make sure we have nice tight connections. Because communication errors are really annoying because they're intermittent. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You kill the power, resets everything, it works for a while, and then it just randomly quits working again. And these are going to be using a Phillips head to complete these connections here. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and feed it back through there, and then we might have to go outside and tug on it a little bit. Now this little plastic thing here goes all right on here, and then I have the screw right here so I didn't lose it. Go ahead and take that screw out. This one holds the control panel cover. So we just go ahead and slide that on there like that, and then push it there, and then we'll pop that screw in there. And that's just going to hold the wire in place so it doesn't move all over the place. And you just want to make sure that that's centered and crank her down. And then now we have this electrical panel here, and it has 1 screw, which I've left in here. And we will go ahead and put the cover back on because now we are officially done with the interior. So now we just have to do the outside. And man, that cover is super beefy. Good to go. All right, so our interior is done. That's it right there. Looks good, right? Super simple. So you just got to remember to run the actual electrical wire through that hole at the same time. So my suggestion is to run it through the hole first, put the head on, then snake it through. It's a lot easier. Don't do it the way I did because I just had to say a lot of bad words. So anyway, I don't know why I do that. Every freaking time, I always forget to do it. So anyway, we got the interior done, so we don't have to mess with that anymore. So we're gonna go ahead and start working on our outdoor unit. All right, so we got our wall mount mounted to the wall. She's ready to go. She can hold about 500 pounds. This thing does not weigh from 500 pounds, so we should be more than fine. So let's go ahead and mount it. We're gonna go ahead and put the bolts in and then make some minor adjustments. And then what we're gonna do is we'll have the line set coming right below it and then up and in. Okay, so we got her all mounted up. So we're gonna go ahead and get our line height all taken care of. And then we'll run the line set and we'll hook up the electrical. Then we can start our pressure test and pull a vacuum. All right, so we got our line height all set up. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take this and we're gonna bend it straight down. And then what we're gonna do with this drain is we're actually going to cut a hole in the bottom of this line set so it just drips right out the bottom. But we'll do that last. So we're gonna go ahead and remove these caps here. Remember, this is pressurized, so you're gonna hear some stuff coming out. Don't worry, it's not refrigerant. It's just nitro or argon. If you unscrew these and nothing happens like this, then you probably got a leak. You should send it back right away. So we're gonna go ahead and make our flare connections. We are gonna need a torque wrench. So you definitely wanna get a torque wrench. It doesn't have to be digital, but you wanna use a torque wrench. If you look at the manual, it specifically says, use a torque wrench. I know the other videos, they don't, but trust me, if you over tighten it, it's gonna leak. If you under tighten it, it's gonna leak. So it's very important that you use a torque wrench and torque it to spec. These line sets we have 1/2 inch and 1/4. So we're gonna look at our manual and see what our torque specs are. All right, so we have this line set that it comes with again. I'm kind of curious to see if it's a perfect flare again. Look at that. Amazing. It's a perfect flare. Factory flare. It's probably better than I could do it. That's nuts. I still can't, that still just throws me off. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and get this connected. All right, so here's our specs. So you can see here, 1/4 inch is gonna be 15 to 20 Newton meters. Right there. And then 1/2 inch is gonna be 30 to 40 Newton meters. So very important that you actually torque it. As you can see, this is the actual manual for the unit. It's in there. Use a torque wrench. You can get a cheap one over at, what's it called? Harbor Freight. Doesn't have to be digital, but just please use a torque wrench. All right, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna use a little bit of nylon glue, this stuff here. This is just a sealant. We're gonna put it on the edge here. You don't put it on the threads, you actually put it on the sealing surface of the flare connection. We're gonna do our 1/4 inch first. So we're gonna slide the nut down like that. And then we put it on the sealing surface. So we're gonna go ahead and hand tighten that first until we can't get it to go anymore. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and we'll torque it down since the other one's out of the way. So we're gonna use 16 Newton meters because it's between 15 and 20, so we wanna get somewhere in the middle. Very important that you use a backup wrench so you don't twist off the line set. Also, when you're using a torque wrench, you wanna grab it at the end and pull or push. But you want a good arc on this, otherwise it will not detect the proper torque. So either it'll tell you your torque to spec too early or too late. Now 16 Newton meters isn't a lot, so Now this thing is going to start beeping. That means we're getting close. When it goes beeping solid, when it's just a long tone, that means we're there. Oops. There we go. The hard part about this is that everything's in the way. Getting close. There we go. So we are torqued to spec on the quarter. I am still amazed that I do not need to flare these. Yeah, this one's perfect too. All right, cool. So we're gonna go ahead and put some more nylog on the surface, on the sealing surface, not the threads. Okay, put it on there. And now we're gonna go ahead and hand tighten the nut. Now this one's 50 to 55 Newton meters, so we're gonna go at 50. So again, make sure you use a backup wrench for this, otherwise you'll twist off the line set. Now this one's gonna take a little bit more to get to our target because it's much bigger and it's a higher torque spec. Go very slowly, don't overdo it. You don't want to go super fast because you could potentially damage your flare. All right. Cool. All right, so that side's done. So now we're going to go ahead and run our line set to our unit and then we'll make our connections there. All right, so we got our electrical ran through here. We need to remove this plastic thing here, so we just pop this screw out on the right. And we're going to pop this screw out on the left. And then we're going to go ahead and pop this screw out in the middle. And this whole thing should just pop right out of the way, just like that. All right, we want to get our wires behind there. And that's basically just going to hold everything in place. Okay, so the top row here is going to be our indoor connection. And then these two bottom ones are our line inputs. And then these two green screws you can't really see, but there's two green screws, those are our grounds. So we'll go ahead and start with our indoor stuff. So this is the exact same way as what we did inside. Blue is going to go to 1. And we want to slide that underneath the little square that's on top of the screw, and then we'll go ahead and tighten. But because actually now that I'm looking at it, this is in the way, so we probably want to do our line inputs first. Now, we used a different whip, so it's going to be fatter wire, which I prefer, but it doesn't have the forks on it, so we'll have to put our forks on ourselves. All right, so we're putting our line 1 in there. Again, it's going underneath that little square, and then our line 2 is going right in there, and our ground is going over here. So we got our line voltage hooked up. So now we're going to go ahead and run our indoor unit. So this is our hookups. We have blue on 1, black on 2, and brown on 3. Okay, and then we have line 1 here and line 2 here, our ground and our ground. So our electrical is all done. So we can go ahead and put this panel back on. Just sits on like that. Screw here, and one on the bottom. And zoom out so you can see that. So there's one screw that goes in here. All right, so this last one, we need to do a sharp bend, but it's a 1/2 inch. So if we hand bend it, there's a real good chance we're gonna go ahead and kink it, which we definitely don't wanna do. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use our hand bender here. And you can pick one of these up online. They're not too expensive, but basically you wedge it in here and then see it pulls it down like that, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and we need to slide this back. Now we just tried to bend it right here by hand, but that's not gonna work, so I'm gonna go ahead and slide that back. All right, so here we go. You can see we're now bending it. All right, there we go, nice clean bend. Make sure it's not kinked. Yeah, see, nice clean bend. All right, cool, so we still need to come down a little bit more, so we'll bend it right here. There we go. Okay. Sweet, perfect. Now we'll go ahead and put a little bit of nylog on here, and I've already done that for that 1/4 inch. Pull this little plug out, and we will go ahead and hand tighten this. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and get our torque wrench. We're gonna torque this to spec. All right, so we'll go ahead and do the 1/2 inch one first, and this one's gonna be 50 Newton meters. Cool, and then the other one is gonna be 16, and that's the 1/4 inch. And the nice thing about this one is we actually didn't have to flare it. So we actually used the entire provided line set without cutting it. All right. Cool. Okay, so now that we got it all torqued to spec, what we're going to do now is we're going to do a nitrogen pressure test. If you go to your local welding store, you will be able to get a nitrogen bottle. You could probably get a tiny one, but basically you'll have to pay probably like $300-400, but you return the tank and they credit you back, minus the charge for the actual nitro. Or you could probably order the stuff online. You just want refrigerant grade nitrogen. But you don't want to put air in there. That's like the worst thing because the pressure will increase and decrease. And pulling a vacuum, please don't do this. I've seen other videos where they pull a vacuum on it and then they put soapy bubbles on it. That's creating a negative pressure. If there is a leak, it'll suck it in. It won't create bubbles. You won't even know it's leaking. And now you contaminated your line. And then once you release your refrigerant, your system's messed up. Now keep in mind that you can see that these are painted red, and that's because it's an A2L refrigerant. So it is slightly flammable. So you want to be careful when you're installing this. You don't want to expose it to any sparks, heat, excessive heat that could start a fire, that kind of thing. But basically, you're going to need an adapter. It's going to be a 5/16 to quarter adapter to be able to put any kind of standard gauge you get at Harbor Freight or whatnot. That's what this is doing, except it doesn't have a depressor on it. That's because this is a core remover tool. So we're going to go ahead and hook up our gauge to it, and we're going to charge this up with nitrogen just to verify that we don't have any leaks on my flares or the system. We know that the outdoor unit is fine because it has refrigerant in it. Well, we think it has refrigerant in it. And we know that our indoor unit is fine because it was pressurized. So leaks are going to be my fault. They'll be at the Schrader's, or I'm sorry, at the flares. So that's why we're going to go ahead and check this up. We're going to pressure it up with nitrogen. I'm going to put, if we look at right here, we have low side is 363, high side 624. So we're going to put 350 psi of dry nitrogen in this thing just to make sure that it can handle it. And we should not have anything leaking. All right, we're putting our 350 in there. Should be about it. We're gonna go ahead and close it off. Looks like we put a little bit too much, so we'll let some out. All right, close enough. Now we do need to let it stabilize for a minute. As you can see, it's going up. So we'll give it about 10 minutes before we start our leak check. So the idea is if the pressure remains the same, we know we don't have a leak. If it drops, we know we have a leak. If it increases or stays the same, we know there is no leak. But what we can do in the meantime is this is where the other guys have got it wrong. We don't pull a vacuum, we pressurize. And when we pressurize, now we can do a bubble check. So that's what we're gonna do right now, is we'll go ahead and make sure that none of our stuff is leaking. And I don't see any bubbles, do you? Let's go ahead and check the other connections. That's why I haven't covered everything up yet. Okay, I don't see any bubbles, do you? It's pretty obvious when these things leak. So anyway, we're gonna check after 10 minutes to see if it's leaking. And if it isn't, we'll go ahead and start our vacuum. So we're starting at 336.7. So we'll be back. All right, so we got our line set all done. Looks good, right? So the line height just makes it look so much better. And then you can paint that to match the house too. It's still a little messy because I got a bunch of junk on there, but let's see what our pressure is looking like. It's been holding for about 20 minutes. Yeah. 336.7, I think that's where it was. So that tells me there's no leaks. Plus I didn't see any bubbles. So we're gonna go ahead and get our vacuum going. And then while that's happening, we can clean up because we're pretty much done, son. Okay, so I'm gonna show you a few vacuum hookup setups, all right? So if you don't have, I'm a professional, so I have stuff that, you know, makes things super quick. My vacuum pump is ridiculous. It's variable, double stage. It's got all kinds of hookups and it's 8 CFM. You're probably gonna have a 3 or a 2, which is totally fine. But please invest in a micron gauge. You can get a cheap one. This one is not a cheap one, but you can get a cheap one. Don't do that inches of mercury or the HG stuff. Because that's just not accurate. It could still be, you know, we want 500 microns below 500 microns on this thing. We want to get all that moisture, everything out of it. A lot of people in the comments are going to say, it doesn't matter, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that was in the day of R22, R12. Who cares? We didn't care. I mean, they didn't even pull vacuums. They just purged the air out by blowing refrigerant through it. Totally fine with R22. That stuff was fine. but POE and PEV, just no, don't do it. No, it's not worth it. This is R32, so it does have PEV oil in it. You don't want to get that junk in there. We want to pull it all out. We want to vacuum it out, okay? Also, it's just going to make your system run longer, last longer, all that stuff. You're already saving a bunch of money by doing this for yourself, so you might as well just spend a little bit extra on the tools, because even if you buy all the tools, use it once, it's still going to be a lot cheaper than if you hire one of us professionals to do it. Or you can hook this up. If you can find a professional to finish it for you, you could do that too. Most of us won't do it, but sometimes we will. So, there's that risk. But another thing too is, you can buy the tools, and then when you're done, you can just put them up on, Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace or whatever, sell it. You won't get all of it back, but you get some of it, and you still saved money. So just do it right. Saves you a lot of hassle, then you don't have to call a professional to fix your problems. So anyway, this is one setup. We have our normal gauge here. We're going to open up the blue, right? So it's pulling, the vacuum is pulling, it's going into our vacuum pump, right? The yellow one's going to go into the vacuum pump. The blue one, we're going into our line here. You're going to need some kind of T to hook up your micron gauge. The idea is you want your micron gauge to be as close to the unit as possible. If you don't have that, here's your backup. You can unscrew this red one and attach it here. Just make sure you open that valve, okay? Now, I'm going to do a crazy, super professional, super fast evacuation where I don't use my gauge. I just have a big old fat hose that goes straight to the pump. And I also remove the Schrader core, so it makes it way faster. You don't need to invest that. The big, huge, fat, the huge hose, it's like 120 bucks, and then this is another like 80 bucks. So yeah, it gets pricey. So you don't need to get the top of the line because you're only doing this once, but at least get the cheap stuff because that'll at least get you done the first time, and then you could probably sell it, and get half your money back. So anyway, enough with that rant. I'm gonna go ahead and get my vacuum setup going, and then we'll clean up and finish up whatever little bits need to be done while it's vacuuming. So now for all you newbie techs, we can see here we have our big old fat evacuation hose. This is actually a MegaFlow hose from Appion. We have it into our Schrader core. We have our micron gauge hooked up, and we have it hooked straight into our pump. We're gonna open our ballast, our gas ballast. That basically prevents your oil from getting contaminated with moisture, because there will be a little bit of moisture in the system because we've had it open to atmosphere. Once it gets to under 1,000 microns, we're going to go ahead and close that. So we're going to go ahead and turn this on. All right. Let her warm up a bit. So she's creating a vacuum inside the hose between here and here. I have this closed, and we're going to go slowly open this. You're going to hear the pump noise change. You might even see a little bit of smoke come out of it. Don't worry, that's normal. All right, so we have that open. So the vacuum has started, and you can already see that we're pulling all crazy fast. Now that's also because we have no Schrader core and we have a big old fat hose. So obviously if you're using your gauges, it's much smaller and there's Schrader depressors and all that stuff, a lot of restrictions, so it's gonna go really slowly. Okay, now if you can't get under, if it basically gets stuck at 700 and it won't go down anymore, you probably have a leak. Check your fittings, make sure everything's tight. Sometimes these O-rings can go bad. Even if it's brand new, especially if you bought a cheap one, it could have like a dent in the O-ring or something. So you wanna make sure all your O-rings are good, okay? So far so good. We're already at 900 and, we're at 870. So yeah, now that you can hear that the pump noise has changed, we're gonna go ahead and close our ballast. And now it's sucking full blast. So we are already at 600. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean up all my mess and finish whatever needs to be finished, and then we'll release the refrigerant. All right, so our vacuum's at 99 microns. We only require below 500. We're gonna see what our true micron is by closing this. So now the pump is actually isolated. So this is what the vacuum is inside the unit. So it's at 113 microns. So we're more than below what we need. So we're gonna go ahead and turn off our vacuum pump. Because of this valve, we are isolated, so no air is getting in there. So we're gonna go ahead and unscrew this. And this is where we're gonna release the refrigerant that's inside this outdoor unit into the line set. Now, again, this is A2L refrigerant, so don't worry, it's not flammable, but I wouldn't hold a lighter to it, and I wouldn't be smoking any cigarettes while I'm doing this. Okay, so we're using a 3/16 Allen. All right, cool. So we're gonna open up the big one. You can hear that refrigerant moving through, and that tells us that there's refrigerant in the system. So if this outdoor unit was leaking, we wouldn't hear anything, and then we'd be really upset after all that work. And you're gonna go ahead and just unscrew that all the way until it doesn't go anymore. And we're gonna do the other one. Same thing, unscrew it all the way. You might hear a little bit of hissing. And that's all there is to it. Now we go ahead and put our caps on here, and just make sure that when you put these on there, you crank them down with a wrench, because these valves will leak. They all leak. They're not perfect. They leak very little, but you do want to have the cap sealed as well as possible. And then when we take this off, there's our refrigerant. And as you can see, it didn't explode, so no worries. All right, so we're all done with it. She's cooling. It's actually really nice in here. Let's go check out the outside. As you can see, she's cooling. 49 degrees. Oof. So anyway, we went ahead and finished our install. So hopefully you liked this video, and hopefully this helps you out if you decide to pick up one of these TOSOTs. I'm going to have a link in the description below. This is an 18,000 BTU 230 volt system. The 230 volt versus the 110 volt is a lot more efficient. The higher the voltage, the less amperage. The less amperage, the less current. Well, current and amperage, same thing, but basically it's going to be less current, so you're paying less electricity to run it. So I always recommend doing the 230 volt. But yeah, this is an 18,000 BTU. They also make 12,000s. I think they make a 9 and a 6. So you have plenty of options, and they also make multi-head units if you want to do one of those. If you want to see me install one of those, let me know in the comments below, and I'll be happy to if TOSOT's down. But we want to see those comments saying, hey, I want to see a multi-head install. So anyway, hopefully this helps you out. So thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, comment, tell me what a horrible technician I am. Hit that bell notification and follow me on Instagram, Facebook. And if you like the tools that I use, you can pick them up on my Amazon store. Thanks for watching.